I put a lot on the table. What you think about preparation for marriage, purpose, whatever. Go ahead, Reba.
Okay, I wanted to piggyback off something you said. Okay, I agree with everything you said. And here's the thing. Also, when there are two people in a marriage, there has to be two people making the marriage work. We
Yeah.
agree. There has to
Yes.
be two people that want the marriage to work. Okay. You cannot go into a job and say, I ain't working today. Same way you can't go into anything
Right. You
and
gonna
get
get
a
fired.
paycheck.
You right.
Let's
You
be
right.
real. You think you're
You
going to get a
right.
paycheck and you just sitting there? Okay. You're going to
Yep.
get fired. So
Say that.
after a while of saying, I don't want to put the work in, and you're seeing your mate not want to put the work in, because like he said, like Corey said, it comes with discipline. It also comes with patience. It comes with, but on the other end, the person has to want to change. Let's talk about that. Let's hit that. You have to want to do the work. If
You
your
right.
spouse is coming to you saying, okay, I think we need to go to therapy, counseling, marriage
Yeah.
counseling, we're hitting a
Yeah.
roadblock, because we know that that does happen in marriage. If the other
You right.
person just said no, you think after a while you're gonna keep on sitting there and saying, okay, I'm sticking in this till they say yes. After a
Definitely not.
while, it gotta be a discipline enough to the person say, I actually want to save this. This is
Yeah.
valuable to me. I got married for
Feel you.
a purpose, and I feel like this is going to benefit me. Yes, we gonna be at a roadblock. Yes, it's not gonna be always happy, and I like that you said that. It's not gonna always be happy. But when you get to those points, you have to have two people working at it. You can't get a paycheck if you ain't working.
Hey, hey, you know what? As somebody who hires people, I surely know that. You ain't getting this check unless you punch that clock. I got you. I feel you.
Yeah.
What you got, Deej? What you got?
The crazy part is, since we on this analogy of a job, right? When you said that men don't want to change or basically listen to things from women, it had me thinking, if a marriage is like a job, right? It's like when you're trying to have a conversation where you're not even yelling or you're not pacing the blame game, but you're just, you mirror this person. I see you through and through every day, so I could say things to you that somebody else wouldn't see. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and to me, in my opinion, in the marriages that I've seen and the friends that I listen to, when you have these conversations with your husband, like, hey, you're lacking in this area. I'm not feeling the love over here, and blah blah blah. Whatever the conversation is about, immediately, sometimes, and not all men, because I want to say that now since he brought that up earlier. I don't want to generalize
Right,
all men.
right. Not all men.
um, it just seems like it's an immediate defense, or you what's the word, criticizing me. And so it's like, with that being said, if we want to look at marriage like a job, right, like you said, you can't get a check. If your boss come up to you after your 90 days and say, hey, Mikhail, you've been doing wonderful in this area, your 90 days have been wonderful, but over here, when you speak to the customer, I would like for you to speak a little louder. And then also here, when you do this, you're not giving it your all. You could still a little more if you do this or do that, right? How is it that you could take that critique from your manager with no problem, and you'll actually change? Because if you don't change, the next 90 days, you're going to be out the door. But then if your wife come have a conversation with you and say, hey, in this area, I need you to speak a little louder. And oh, here, I need you to just, you give into it like 50%. Go and put a little more into it. Then you're critiquing them. You're trying to be their mom,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
no wife wants to hear you trying to be their mom. So eventually, it fades.
Yeah, because what he really saying is you trying to be my daddy. He just
Mm.
identifies you as a mom because you're a woman. He's really saying you're not my daddy. Go ahead, Garrett. Go ahead. I like that, Deidre. That was good.
Yeah,
That was deep.
just to kind of further that analogy with work, like I look at it also like it's an investment. Like when you invest in something, you're taking a risk, number one, and no risk, no reward, high risk, high reward. And so when you put in your portion of the investment, you're expecting to get something out of it. Now, of course, we're dealing with imperfection. We're dealing with two human beings, so you're not always going to get what you're looking for. But again, you want to make sure you're putting in the right things. You're investing the right things. You're investing love. You're invest in patience, communication. You are, making sure that you're fulfilling that person in every way. Financially, you're getting yourself together. So like, it's just a matter of trying to figure out who you're dealing with, learning taking the time to learn who you're actually married to. Like, people get married and then they're strangers and they don't get past that stranger stage and saying it in that kind of way. It's like, you really have to get to know this person. And that means I'm gonna get on that person's nerve from time to time. What is that button that I push to get on their nerve? They're gonna get on my nerves. What are the things that we have to dig a little bit deeper than the surface? And this also kind of led me to think, Mikhail, about what you said about expectations. Like, who shapes our expectations of what marriage should be? Is it social media? Is it Hollywood? Is it our own family experiences? Is it a culmination
That's the next
of all
segment.
those things?
You're gonna be able to chop that up. Yeah.
Go
ahead. Keep going.
And I think like our perception is based on reality. Hopefully is based on some form of reality, but unfortunately, there are other factors that shape our perception of what marriage should be. And then it's like, is that realistic? Like, you see the glamour and the good side of marriage, but it's some other sides that people don't really talk about. And I think that's a part of the problem, is that we don't really have these kind of discussions as often as we should, which will open the door to men being able to understand women better and where they're coming from, and vice versa. So, yeah.
And I write down everything y'all say. Well, I'm gonna hit the work thing, because I hear people talk about marriage being work, and it is work. But I actually like what I do. Like I like what I do for a living.
Say it again.
I like what I do for a living. I like the businesses that I've started. I like the organizations that I've co-founded. I like what I do for a living. And sometimes in marriage, people just don't like their job. It is what it is. Some people just don't like their job. Because in the last podcast, Corey said something that I thought about. And Antonio Perez said something. He said, nobody told me that being a father and being a husband will actually be this hard. Like, I didn't know that it required this. Like when you get a job, you get a job description. Like, you get a job description and people tell you, they tell you, this is your job. And then they tell you, I'm going to train you how to do your job. So there's somebody telling you. So when I hire a therapist, I'm telling them how to do assessments. I'm telling them how to interact with funders. I'm telling them how to do billing. I'm telling them how to deal with crisis management, right? But unfortunately, when we go into marriages, there's no job description. It's just your expectations. So it's your expectations. And I don't think any of us, including me, have enough common sense to try to flesh out how someone can meet our expectations before we get committed. And that's the thing about marriage being a job. It's a job that when the two people do it, they don't know what the job entails all the way. Because sometimes life determines what your marriage requires. Okay. So like, for instance, if you're with somebody and they lose their job and they were the provider, that requires a pivot that I didn't know I was going to have to do that. Or when you have children, it changes the dynamic of the couple. Or now you're an entrepreneur versus a person who gets a check. Or now a person has a dream of something they want to be, but that dream interferes with them being married, no matter if it's the husband or the wife. So I think that people have to show you how to work. People need to flesh out some of these things before they get married. And I don't mean premarital counseling in a spiritual way. And I'm also a pastor. I gave up pastoring because I had kids. But we need men to build skills of marriage. We need people to know how to resolve conflict. I say this every week. We need them to know how to manage money. They need to know how to treat a woman. Men need to know how to treat themselves. They need to know that self-care is just not a basketball game and watching an athletic contest and going to the barbershop and have a conversation. Some of it is buying a book. Some of it is getting with your guys and really fleshing out your issues, going to see a therapist. So what I mean is, as much as we say marriage is work, you have to like your job. Like, you gotta you have to like your freaking job. Yeah, marriage is work, but you gotta like your job. And guess what else you gotta like? You gotta like your benefits package. You got
Yeah.
to like your
Yes.
benefits package. You got to like your
I
Perfect.
know
health
that's right.
insurance. You got to like how
Perfect.
much you make. You got to like how much sex you get. There's a lot of things that go into marriage from a male side, and I think sometimes men, and I'm not trying to bash men because I'm a man, we ain't ready for the job. Sometimes we are
They
just
lied
not
on
ready.
their resume.
But you'll be
That
surprised.